definition also, let me give it to you, Suhel. Number one.
Yes.
Let me debunk the argument as far as Air India is concerned. It has not been in the seat of a government bailout since 1980, as he's saying. We must set the record straight. The first time government paid Air India was in 2009. Prior to that, all was internal accruals of Air India, all those buildings, etc., all assets of Air India were this thing. Now, question is, you can't compare Air India with Kingfisher. In Air India, bulk of the losses are on account of government decisions. Aircraft acquisition in larger number than what Air India could afford or gainfully deploy. Merger, not thought of. Now, if you have caused the losses, you must pay. Polluter pays, as they say. Then the question that comes in is...
What do you want?
No, I'm coming to it.
You want to shut down the airline?
Now, the question is...
If the airline has to be shut down, it's shut down.
Suhel, please,
exactly.
No, let me.
No, if the airline if the airline
Air India, I'm saying Air India and Kingfisher are not comparable. Number one. Having said this, now Ajay said, banks are not allowing the Kingfisher to operate the accounts. Why will they? They've got to safeguard their money. Now, the solution that lies is, with the large kind of defaults that Kingfisher has got into, and the large chunk of money that he needs to salvage the airline, he cannot get from anywhere. And your point on FDI, you know, at the rate of 20 rupees a share, his total market capitalization is 1,000 crores. 49%, even if Vijay Mallya get 4 times the amount through negotiations with a foreign airline, all that you're talking about is 2,000 crores, and that 2,000 crores is equivalent to 1 year's loss. It is not a solution kind of a thing. Business model. So this final solution that comes in, Kingfisher minus Vijay Mallya.
Yeah, but will he accept that?
If you're quoting the Satyam example, what did happen, Satyam?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Raju got removed, Deepak Parekh and a team of professionals took over, put the company on track, and then it was sold. And likewise, is the government ready? Is Vijay Mallya ready? That this kind of path is the best way for salvaging Kingfisher.
Absolutely.
Protecting the money that Indian banks have invested, the employees' jobs that we have got, the market capacity that we need, and a good brand that Vijay Mallya has built. Yeah, let the legacy go on.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there was, government has several options to deal with companies who have failed. And you need to follow the rules in case you fail. Parvez Damania, you ran an airline. Right, what happened to your airline?
No,
at what time did you face trouble?
No, I'll tell you something. The government policies are very complicated.
Yeah.
The government policies to run an airline in India are very difficult.
Yes.
Even right now, the policies of flying the northeast, so many aircrafts you can deploy. There are issues. It's not an easy. It's what I'm saying. It is not an easy business to survive in. It is difficult.
Yeah.
Even after so many years, Kingfisher Jeter is still having a tough time.
Sure.
My point is, so certain. What I feel, the business plan of Kingfisher kept changing over a period of time. They started with a certain business plan, then they kept changing. In the airline business, you can't change business plan halfway. I think Indigo is a very good airline. Yeah. I have nothing to do with it. But if you see, the fleet is exactly the same.
That's why.
No, the fleet is exactly the same, the seating configuration exactly the same, and just one kind of aircraft. Kingfisher, even being such a small airline, has a huge number of different aircrafts. More the number of aircrafts, more the different seating capacity. Kingfisher's 319, 320, 321, 330,
what's the solution?
340, 500.
No, 1 second. So let him complete.
That makes management more complicated. There's no doubt of the fact.
But now anyway, that's become, the fact that they have run aground, that's a fact.
Yes.
My question to you is, do you think a dangerous precedent will be set if in this particular case, the government instructs the public sector banks to deal with Kingfisher differently? The government tells the income tax department to deal with them differently.
How can the government treat an airline as a different industry compared to a manufacturing unit or a television channel?
I'm asking you
the same rules that apply to any business enterprise which a bank is financed should apply to this. Why is this discussion also? Now, if somebody puts up an industry to manufacture cars, at one stage, they do not manufacture cars economically. They shut down.
Shut down.
That's it.
Yeah,
why should there be a different rule or discussion for the airline business?
But Mr. Damania, look at the entire industry for a moment.
No, it is in a bad shape.
It is not Kingfisher alone.
Yeah.
I mean, barring
what's
one
the solution?
airline, everybody is hurting.
Right now we're talking about Kingfisher. The urgent situation is Kingfisher.
But we have to look at this. Could happen to any of the other airlines tomorrow.
No, 1 second. Can I ask you something?
Yes.
That's the point.
Is there a written guarantee that tomorrow after the government is soft to Kingfisher, defreezes accounts, says, okay, TDS dues we'll handle, okay, we are going to be nice with you with the banks,
no, there is
okay,
no
we'll be with the income tax department, we'll be nice to you.
It is a business?
No, at the end, and what if at the end of the day, here's the critic, what if at the end of the day, the government also changes the FDI rules?
Right.
Vijay Mallya sells a chunk, makes his money, exits. No, one second. That's the most likely scenario, isn't it?
It's possible. It's not
there is
impossible.
no business model.
It's not beyond the
so why should
possibility.
then why should the government fund?
Now, on the one hand,
why should the government fund what could be an attempt
he's
by
not asking the government to fund him. I mean no, look, he's not asking for a bailout.
He's asking for different rules.
He's not asking for a bailout per se, is he?
Different soft treatment, non-application of rules amounts to bailout.
You can't
non-application of rules amounts to bailout.
Hands behind somebody's back and expect him to fight.
Look, the term bailout.
Look, I don't have a great soft corner for anybody. But I'm looking at the fact that you have to give a man a fair chance. Look, things have not worked out.
What is fair chance? Soften the rules?
Ajay,
one minute. What is the definition of fair chance?
Number one is
change the government rules.
If you say that there's X amount that is due to the income tax, whatever be the amount in his bank accounts, I'm not privy to that amount. Take that out, but let the man get funding in to run the airline. I don't know how those
so that he can exit tomorrow.
Operated.
So that he exits tomorrow.
Now, why do we always have to believe the worst of everybody?
No, so that he exits tomorrow. We ended up looking at a bad precedent, and tomorrow.
I don't think he's in a hurry to exit, Arnab. I think this brand is important to him.
Really?
Personally, I think it is important to him.
Suhel, yes.
Arnab, I want to ask you one thing. And for the first time, let roles be reversed on the news, which is watched by millions of people. You are wise, well-versed with worldly views. What is your solution? What do you think should happen to Kingfisher? You tell me. You know policy flip-flop. Yesterday on your channel, you talked about the policy flip-flops which will worsen post the election results yesterday. So you tell me, as a person who's seen the government's paralysis of policy at close quarters, what do you think should happen to Kingfisher?
There is something called the BIFR for failed companies. Maybe that's the solution, but I'm not going to fall into your trap of trying to, why should I offer my solution for Vijay Mallya? Exactly. Why should the government offer? Why should I offer? It's Vijay Mallya's problem.
Your solution to us.
It's Vijay Mallya's problem. I am only saying today, you change the rules, you change the application of rules, that's a bailout. You can't go semantic on what a bailout is. Tomorrow if there's a tea garden manufacturer in Assam, hear me, I'll throw the question back at you. Straight at you the question goes. The tea garden manufacturer in Assam says, the tea industry is very important for Assam. We need to compete with Ceylon, with the other markets in Southeast Asia which have suddenly started having tea estates and competing. We want to save the tradition of Assam. This is important for Assam, important for the Northeast, and therefore did the government of India step in when tea garden after tea garden in Assam ran aground? It didn't. Why? Because they were not high-profile businessmen.
That is the tragedy of this.
High-profile businessmen.
That is the tragedy
of our country. That's not a tragedy. That's market reality.
One of the finest states of India,
that's market
Assam,
reality for you,
which
Suhel.
to my mind...
That's market reality for you, Suhel. That's market reality. I want to get in Mr. Dutta once again. Mr. Dutta,
every country supports its produce of origin,
No, one second. Mr. Suhel, let's be practical here. Business is business, yes.
The point is very simple. Somebody just made a point that the government rules in India are so difficult to follow that the airline industry is running into trouble. I beg your pardon, sir. The government rules are uniformly applied to each and every airline. Kingfisher, no exception to it. If the government of India makes rules, they are equally applied to everybody. And to say that the Kingfisher has been sunk because of the government rules, it's incorrect. Let's understand that very clearly. It's incorrect.
Exactly. Let me throw another question back at all our panelists. India before reforms, the same Dr. Manmohan Singh government, when it started reforms, a large part of our domestic pharmaceutical public sector industry ran aground, and number of cheap Chinese drugs took over the Indian market. Company after company ran aground, people lost their jobs.
So was that a great thing?
No, I'm not. It's market dynamics.
What do you want?
At that point of time,
the United States of America gives its farmers.
Well,
do they or do they not?
Well, let me tell you, sir. With all respect, Mr. Ajay Prakash, when that was happening, when companies were running aground, a lot of people stood aside and said, "Hail the new form of reform. This is market capitalism. These are the new rules that government will be run under."
I mean, if
if free fall capitalism is to be the norm.
No, Mr. Damania. Yes, Mr. Damania.
No, you're completely right. That's what I'm saying. Survival of the fittest. If you're not good enough, I mean, where's the question of today? First and foremost, look at the condition of the employees. There are people who haven't been paid for 3, 4 months, and that is the thing we should discuss. What will happen to them?
Okay, one thing we need to put on record. It is not that the government has not extended support to Kingfisher. Banks have been giving them loans. Only after defaulted, have the bank said no more loans. Now the question is, government has allowed the airlines to import fuel. FDI is in the offing, but as I said, these are no kind of permanent solution. And the reality is also that the business climate in India is not conducive for profitability in the aviation sector. There's no denying that.
But that's not our problem.
As I said earlier,
do business to make losses.
But as I said earlier, it was Vijay Mallya's own volition that he came into this business.
The people
have
are
been
watching.
Running the businesses far better and smartly than him.
Okay.
The question comes in: is there something wrong in Kingfisher itself, and is he willing to look at it? Let him first look at it himself. Government can follow.
Okay, gentlemen, I think we'll wrap up the debate here. Everyone's watching. I think the people of this country are watching what the government is going to do. If there are going to be different rules applied for Kingfisher, different rules for Satyam, different rules for pharmaceutical companies, and different rules for failing tea estates, then the people of this country will ask the government where the consistency in applying the rules is. No, Suhel, this cannot be special rules for Mr.
As a proud nationalist,
yes.
Would you be not concerned if policy paralysis led to everything that Made in India once stood for and continues to stand for is demolished and falls by the wayside? I would be really, really pained.
Really? Well, the same people are also asking for enhanced FDI cap in Indian carriers by foreign airlines. So that's the answer to the question which you asked. Suhel Seth, Mr. Dutta, Mr. Ajay Prakash, Parvez Damania and Mr. Bhargava. Thank you very much for joining me on debate number 1 on the News Hour tonight.